For video 6 of rational numbers as exponents, we are going to basically just work through how to use the calculator to help us evaluate. So, for example, let's look at 4 raised to the 7 halves. So, if we wanted to type this into the calculator, we would do the following. We would type in the base of our exponent, which would be 4, and then we need to move the cursor so that it's in the exponent position. So depending on the version of the calculator you're working with, it might look a little bit different. So for example, this version, if I click this caret key, which is located above the division key, it essentially moves my cursor into the exponent position. And from here, I can just type in 7 halves. What I want everyone to be aware of is that if you have an older version of the TI calculator, you might actually see this caret symbol on your screen right after the 4. If that is the case, you need to do a little something extra. And what that would be is, after your caret key, make sure that you put your fraction in parentheses. If you don't do that, essentially what your calculator is going to do, it's going to take 4 and raise it to the 7th power, and then it's going to take that result and divide it by 2. By putting it in parentheses, you're telling the calculator, I want you to raise this base value to the 7 halves, or to that fraction. So we'll go ahead and we'll hit enter, and we find that 4 raised to the 7 halves is 128. This is much in the same when you're dealing with negative exponents. So let's do 9 raised to the negative 1/2. So we can do 9, we're going to raise our cursor to the exponent position. I'm going to go ahead and use the parentheses, again, just so that everyone is kind of on the same page, especially if you have an older version of the TI calculator. But then we'll do negative. So again, make sure that you are using the negative key and not the subtraction key. If you do the subtraction key, you're going to get an error message, and I'll actually show you. So notice that the negative symbol on your screen is actually going to be smaller than the subtraction symbol. So say I do this. When I hit enter, it's going to say error syntax, I don't know what you want. So let's go to the issue. And it actually points you directly to it. They're like, I don't know what this means. Like, I'm not subtracting anything. I don't have anything to subtract from. So if we switch this back to a negative symbol, we will see that 9 raised to the negative 1/2 is 1/3, or 0.3 repeating. If you wanted to see that this is actually 1/3, you could go to math, and you could select option 1, where it has this arrow and fraction. It's basically saying convert it to a fraction. And there we go. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, just to be clear. Lastly, we can also do this where our base is a fraction. So let's say we're going to do 1/8 raised to the negative 2/3. If you are going to do that, please make sure that you put your fraction in parentheses. We want to make sure that that entire value is being raised to an exponent. So we'll raise this to a negative 2/3. We'll hit enter. And we find out that 1/8 raised to the negative 2/3 is 4. Alright, that completes this video and this section.